After playing thousands of songs on the piano for the past 26 years, in this video, I'm going to give you the top 10 chord progressions I found, as well as all the strategies that I learned over the years on how to create them. Whether you're a beginner or an expert, by the end of this video, you'll be able to make chord progressions that sound like this. Before we jump in, I'm giving away a free piano lesson. Comment down below piano mastery. I select one winner from the first 300 comments. Here's the first chord progression we're going to be going over. So the first chord is a G major chord. Now, how do we create major chords? We use the 3-2 strategy. So I find my G, I count 1, 2, 3, then I count 1, 2. The notes in between, find the root, very simple. D minor chord. How do you find it? Well, you find your D, you count 2 notes in between, 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3. G major, D minor. And then F major and C major follow that same strategy. Now, how do we make these chords beautiful and interesting? Well, we'll start off playing octaves in our left hand, and I'll play the other notes up here. And then the D minor chord, I want to make it a D minor 7th chord to give it more texture. So all I did for the D minor chord was I used the 2-3-2 strategy. So I counted 2 notes up here and then played this one. And then played a D down here. So I go from here. And then the F chord, what did I do? Well, I made it a cluster chord. So if you take an F, you can use this strategy called the 1-1-2. Go 1, 1, and then here. And you can download all these strategies down below absolutely for free. I give these all away. So we go from G to D minor 7, and then this chord, the cluster chord. Now you can spread these out all over the piano if you know the notes. So a G chord, if I have hands wide enough, I can play it like this. And then a D minor 7, I can cluster it. So it's really just knowing where all the notes are on the piano to make those more advanced type progressions. Going to the next chord now, I'm going to go into an A minor, an F, a C, and then a G. So how did I make that chord? Well, the A minor chord, what I did is I made it an add 2 chord. So basically I went to A minor and said, I'm going to add this B here using the 1-0-3 strategy. But what I also wanted to do was add this G up here. And it sounds really nice when you play it all together at the same time. So all this chord is an A minor 9th chord. Now, how do you make a 9th chord? That could be a little scary, right? No. You go here, you find your A, you count 2 notes in between right here. Now you take this C and you make a major 7th chord. Follow the strategy 3-2-3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. And I bring this right here, this B, and I bring it down here. Beautiful. You can arpeggiate it. And this F chord, what I'm going to do is play that F add 2, the F cluster chord we had from the last chord progression. But you bring the G and play it up here. So I'm going. And then the C chord, I can just play a C chord like this. And then you can play a G cluster chord. So this basically is a G cluster chord. Now, whenever you have 2 notes together on the piano, they create tension, right? And I want to make this chord progression beautiful. So what am I doing? I'm adding all these little coloration notes. And it just sounds beautiful, right? So not only do you know these progressions, but you also know how to make them 7th chords, 9th chords, cluster chords. Let's keep going here. So now we're going to get into some of the music theory stuff, right? So let's say I have each one of these notes has a specific chord, right? So it just so happens the 3rd chord is an E minor, right? So this chord progression I'm going to show you will do some things to it. We're going to start with F major, E minor, an A minor, and then a C. But when we're done with it, it's going to sound like this. Well, how do we get there? So the first step in this is we take our F chord and we make it an F major 7th, which is very easy. We've already gone over that strategy. Now, normally in the key of C, this E minor chord is a minor chord. But what you can do as a chord trick is you can actually make it a major chord. So you go here, and then you go E major. And I'm making an E major 7th dominant chord using 3-2-2 strategy right here. So I go here, 7th chord to 7th chord, and then I have this. How do I even make that? Well, it's an A minor 9th, but how do we get this voicing, right? Start with your A, count up 2 notes, then you make a C major 7th chord. What I'm gonna do is take this C right here and bring it up an octave, and take the E and bring it up an octave. So I go like this. So I go, and now I want a C dominant 7th chord because that sounds really nice and really good in pop. But I don't want to move my hands a lot. So I'm just gonna do this. Because all a C minor 7th chord is a C, E, G, and B. But these notes I'm already playing up here. So here we go. Beautiful, right? And super simple. Now let's get a little bit darker here and make a darker chord progression. So if we want darker chord progressions, you normally put together a couple of minor chords, right? So I can go here and make it an A minor, a D minor, and then an E minor. If I want to keep it fully dark, right? Very sad sounding and dark. But what you can also do is you could take it and make that E chord a major chord. So very simple chord progression. But I want this to sound a little bit more sexy. So I'm gonna play this nice altered chord, right? So all you have to do to make this altered chord is you find your E and you count up 1, 2, 3. And then you play this Lydian 7th chord with your right hand. Now again, all the 9th chords, all it is literally in your right hand, you have a root and then you have a 7th chord. That's all 9th chords are. It's very simple. You just need to know your 7th chords really well, play it with your right hand, and your left hand, bang. Just like that. And a lot of R&B artists use this chord, a lot of Bruno Mars. So I actually discovered this chord by studying Bruno Mars. He loves this chord. Just like that. So I go here. Ooh, nice, nice, nice. Has a beautiful ring to it. So that's that chord progression. Now, let's keep it moving here. This one's from Disco, but it's really cool because if you look at your piano, the A to the D is known as a perfect 4th. D to G is known as perfect 4th, G to A, G to C, and C to F. So we're gonna play the appropriate chord for the key while going through each one of these. So it's going to be an A minor, going to a D minor, then a G, and then a C, and then an F. And from here we have the choice where we want to go. I want to go to a D minor 7th. And then the E. But instead of just this E, whenever you have an E major chord like this, you can add the E sus4 to build that tension and then release. So if I play the chord, and just like that, we have that chord progression, right? Let's keep going here. That's another little tactic I showed you guys. From here, I want to go and use the dominant 7 chord. So we're gonna make a D minor 7th. Then we're gonna go into this nice G7. And then we're gonna go into E minor 7th. And then we're gonna go right here into our A minor 9th. This is a very nice soulful chord. And notice what I'm doing here with these voicings, right? I know this is my A minor 7th chord, but I just move these up here and play them with my right hand. And it sounds great. The next chord I'm gonna jump into here has an ascending bass line. So we basically walk this chord up. So we start with a D minor, E minor, an F, and then a G. But that's kind of boring, right? Let's make it more interesting. So let's make all these 7th chords. And I'm going to show you what the G sus13 chord is right here. So basically a G sus13 chord is you start with your G, and basically all you do is you go down -1, so you go right here to your F, one in between, bring the F up here. Now, you know it's a G sus13, forget about the G right now and focus on your right hand. 3-2-3 strategy, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, an F major chord. And you have that nice suspense into the or. I don't know, it depends on what you want to go with it, right? So let's go up the piano. And the good thing is our right hand doesn't have to move. It's just the left hand here. I'm just messing around a little bit, but as you guys see, this is a cool chord progression because we have a walking bass line and we have different chords to complement it, right? So that's that chord progression. I want to keep going here. I have a couple more. And this one we have a walking bass line, but instead, normally, if we keep it in root position, the E is going to be here. But what if instead we replace the E with another chord in the key of C that has an E in it, right? So we have a couple options. We can go here. I don't like the A minor, but I do like the C. So now if we played this chord C, D minor, C, and F, that sounds so much different than this. So all I did was take my C, bring the C up here, and I use the power of inversions to make this chord progression even better. Now, the last chord I'm going to show you, this is probably my favorite one, and it goes like this. Really beautifully sounding, right? So what's going on here? So what you can do in the key of C, again, remember we have these notes. These 3 notes right here, what you can do with them is you can basically take them and make them, because they're normally minor or diminished chords, like the E and the A are both minor, and so is this right here. What I like to do is I make these major, so we basically have an E this, and we bring it down a half step. So it's an E flat major chord. And if you mess around with all of these, with the C, the E flat major, and instead of an A minor, you make it an A flat major, and a B flat major, you can really make some cool stuff. So if you really know your chords, we can do C sus2 here, make this an E flat major 7th, do that. I mean, the main takeaway from this one is that you can take these chords, right? So you can take this, and instead of playing an A minor, which normally you play, you can play an A flat major. So again, these 3 notes right here, instead of playing, in the chord lineup, how we do in other videos, instead of playing it with the diminished, you make it a major. Instead of playing the A minor, you make it A flat major, right? So you basically substitute these chords, and you can watch my other video doing it in my DAW for a lot of music producers out there. But what I like doing here is basically taking this chord, you could take the chord progression, C, E flat major, B flat, and F, and decorate it however you want if you know how to change up the chords, taking a major chord to a major 9th chord, taking a major chord to a cluster chord. These are all the tricks that I showed you in this video. So if you truly did enjoy it, please comment down below and let me know what you thought. Again, comment down below piano mastery. I'm going to give away that one-on-one lesson where we can walk through all this stuff for free. Literally, it's free. So comment down below. There's nothing to lose at all. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about chord progressions, especially maybe lo-fi and really advanced chords, I would check out the video coming up at the end screen because we cover a lot of that. I also have a piano course you can check out down below where I cover way more of this stuff that you can learn here, put in your productions, and really have fun making music on the piano. So that concludes this video. Again, these are only the top 10. I have hundreds of chord progressions that I do know. and I can teach you that in the one-on-one if you comment down below Piano Mastery. So thank you so much for watching this video. Check out the lo-fi chord video that's going to come at the end of this video, and I'll see you next time.